So here on the left side, we have a real website about a car buying service in Cologne. And on the right side, we have the version that has been optimized by one of my Claude code skills. And as you can see, it's using the same brand. So on the top, we have the same name. We have the same colors. The content has been optimized, but this version here is completely different structured in order to increase the conversion rate. For instance, it found out that the valuation form, which is here on the left, is actually the part that should be filled out by the visitor. And the great thing is that even the dropdowns are still working. So this self-contained version is something that you can send directly to a client in case they do have a landing page, for instance, a newsletter for their own website, or also a product page that needs to be optimized. Then they can simply open it and they have already a better version, which could be used for reworking on the real side. Let me show you a few other options that are also used for checking the skill. And right now we're looking on the left side on the newsletter. So it's the current version. And I also use the same Claude skill for optimizing my newsletter sign up page. And as you can see, here I have only on the left side the short description, including a call to action, and then a workflow animation. And the optimized version uses first of all a different layout, more text, but also something where I think it actually might make sense to edit, because it added a section with what you get. And then the recommendation is here to add a new section where the visitor can clearly see topics from my last newsletters. So in a nutshell, this version here is definitely more comprehensive, and it's actually also more optimized for search engines because it contains more text. And of course, one of my target keywords, for instance, end-to-end workflows, SEO automation, and so forth. And to show you another two examples, I also used the skill on this website here. So it is about pest control, and this is actually the landing page. So quite simple, what does not mean it's bad. So in my opinion, it's actually good. But of course, would be also possible to improve it by adding testimonials, what kind of services do they provide, and so on. And this is also what the skill took care of. So as you can see here, we also added new sections. And of course, on the top, there's still the call to action, where this page is missing it completely. And let's have a look into the last example before I will show you how the skill works. And of course, I will also show you a live demo. So this page is from a Plumber, so it's the contact page. And if we compare it with the optimized version, then first of all, we can see that the accessibility is better because the color contrast here is quite bad. Apart from that, it also worked on the hero section. So here's a lot of space, and Claude took care of adding here also the call to action, which is in this case the phone number. And below the hero section, we have also a section that is used for showing credibility. And as I said, the form looks, in my opinion, more compact. And the most important part is, in my opinion, that it's easier to read because the new colors are using the standard for accessibility. Where can you find the skill? And it is inside my community, where I also share other resources about N8N, Claude Code, and of course, everything around search engine optimization. And you will find here also exactly how it works, what it does in detail, how you can set it up, and of course also the skill at the bottom. And before we do a real test on this specific site here, let me show you how the skill works in detail. And the first thing that happens is that the system requires a URL, because otherwise we won't be able to fetch the content and also create a better version out of it. So you input the URL, then the skill takes care of using the CLI from Firecrawl for getting the content in Markdown, capturing a screenshot, because the results are just much better if you not only provide the HTML, but also a screenshot of the page. And in order to also use the same brand colors, we also get a brand object, and all of that is happening by using the API from Firecrawl. After that, we pass the data to Claude, where other skills are invoked, for instance, for optimizing a landing page or also a sign-up page. And then it tries to find things that can be optimized, and it also categorizes them into critical, improvements that are kind of from the priority medium, and of course also nice to have. And the output is an HTML file, which can be easily shared with your clients or directly opened in any browser. And you will get all the findings with an explanation, but of course also the optimized page itself. So as an example, this one is also an HTML file and includes findings. And of course, but you can also see the page itself. All right, then let me show you the actual workflow. So first of all, I need to copy the URL, and then I need to start Claude Code. And for this, I am using anti-gravity, but of course you can do that in the terminal, Visual Studio Code, in Cloud Desktop, so it doesn't matter as long as you have the skills in place. And as an example, I can simply type in analyze this page and optimize it for me. And then I have to paste the link. And that's actually the whole command. Of course, you can also add more information, but for the first analysis, this is already enough. And now in the background, we can see that first of all, it will take care of calling the skill for analyzing a landing page. And afterwards, it will use the Firecrawl skills. So for instance, fetching a page. And while this is working, let me show you what exactly is fetched by Firecrawl. And for that, we need to have a look into this part here. So Firecrawl has access to multiple properties such as the Markdown, HTML. It can scrape the links, the branding object so that we know exactly which logo is used, which brand colors, accent colors, which type of font is used, so that we are also able to generate something that meets also the brand styling that was used before. And of course, the most important part is a screenshot. It can either take a screenshot of the viewport, so it would be only a screenshot of this part, but it can also take a screenshot of the whole page so that we have also, first of all, the footer. And if the page is longer, then we need also, of course, this content. While Claude is doing the work in the background, let's have a look into what kind of findings are analyzed by the skill itself. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we do have 3 different categories, which is critical, improvement, and nice to have. And critical things are, for instance, the title in the hero section, the primary call to action button, and also if there are any social proofs or testimonials. Afterwards, it will take care of analyzing the cognitive load. So are there too many links? Is there too much text on the landing page? And it takes also care of checking the wording. So in case that something is really technical, it tries to rewrite it in order to make it more accessible by non-technical persons or in general persons that are not really deep into the specific topic. Then Claude takes all of these findings and tries to improve it with the next version. So let's check if Claude is already done. And we can see we have first of all the findings, which are also part of the HTML file itself. A few things that were changed. And if we want to check how it looks like, and I can simply open it and let's compare it. So we have on the right side the optimized version and on the left side the current version. And as you can see, we have now a hero section with our call to action, a section for the credibility and also our facts about the company. And there's also an about section. And Claude took also care of adding the nice to have feature, which is having another call to action at the bottom. So users that were just scrolling down, that they can see at the bottom, again, a call to action in order to increase the conversion rate. And we can also see that the footer looks so much better because we have first of all the contact with the address, a small navigation, which is using the same links that were used before in the header, and also the logo. But in this case, most likely something went wrong because the logo here looks kind of weird. Not sure if Claude tried to change the color scheme because the background is dark, but that's something that could be optimized in the next iteration. But what is actually happening under the hood? And for that, I have another diagram to explain that a little bit better. And first of all, there's the user layer. So you're the person that is communicating with the Claude Code skill. And Claude itself has access to different skills. So for instance, for analyzing landing pages, analyzing sign-up pages, and of course could be also extended by optimizing product pages and so on. So this is the analysis layer. And things that are checked is the visual hierarchy, effectiveness of the call to actions. And in case it's a sign-up page, then of course we check different things. But the good thing is that these skills are sharing one specific skill that is used for using the Firecrawl CLI. So the only thing that needs to be done in order to extend the system is adding new skills for different pages. And the new skill will then be able to use shared utilities that are used across the whole system, which means in total, right now there are 3 skills: analyzing landing pages, analyzing sign-up pages, and of course a fetch page skill. And if we have a look into the CLI command, then we can see that we are using the official CLI from Firecrawl by calling the endpoint for scraping content. With the argument for the format, we can test that we need the Markdown, HTML, a screenshot, the branding object, and also the links. And since Firecrawl is not free to use, I also took care of adding a Caching functionality, that means if you analyze a page, then the page gets crawled once. The data is then saved into a folder .firecrawl, which will then be used for further optimizations. Because let's say I'm not happy with the result here, and then I tell the system it needs to work, for instance, on the hero section, and then it will get the content from the Firecrawl folder, and it won't call again the Firecrawl API, which means you will save at the end of the day credits, or in other words, money. And that's it actually for this video today. So in case you do have any questions, feel free to add them to the comment section. Thanks for watching and talk to you soon.